I spend every single hour, every single minute, every single second on video call with Mary every single day. Now I've lost connection. Parts in my relationship with Mary have become tumultuous and toxic.
That's unhealthy.
I was sitting next to a girl and Mary was overthinking, so I got switched to an empty seat.
He said he won't be sitting with girls, so I have the reason to get mad.
Bruh.
Awesome! 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way is back again. I mean, season 4 just ended in May, but here we are in July with season 5. And the first episode starts off strong with us meeting Brandan on the toilet.
Bad.
Smells bad.
Well,
I really did not expect to hear someone say poop well in the first few minutes of the episode. But this new couple does have a pretty weird storyline. And that's because every single second of every day, these two are on a video call together.
As long as I have internet connection or I have data, we do everything on the phone. Become a mutual agreement that we would just be on the phone 24/7.
This sounds like a mature and healthy relationship for these 23-year-olds, right? Yeah, not even close, but we will get into that. Let's talk about Brandan first. This guy has not had a lot of stability in his life, and that includes not having a good relationship with his parents.
My mom lost custody because she failed a drug test. I got taken away and went to my dad's, and the kids went to foster care.
At one point, he was even living in his car, but his godparents stepped in and he moved in with them, sort of.
I'm currently living in an RV outside of my godparents' house.
Brandan had a lot of childhood trauma, and you would think that the best thing for him would be to get a job, maybe go to school, and probably go to therapy to deal with the abandonment issues he's had. But instead, he stayed focused on trying to find love.
When I was 21 years old, I was getting over a bad breakup. I go on a dating app.
And that is when he meets Mary.
I fell in love with her beautiful character. She's just a really wonderful person.
And after 2 years of talking online, Brandan is going to the Philippines to meet Mary for the first time and move there. So I asked earlier if this sounded like a mature and healthy relationship. Now that we know Brandan's past, my answer would be a solid no. But my answer is more of a hell no when Brandan talks about their major jealousy issues.
I can't just go out and talk to any girl working.
Mary doesn't want Brandan talking to any girls, period. And even Brandan admits that their dynamic is not a healthy one.
Parts in my relationship with Mary have become tumultuous and toxic.
And we witness this firsthand when Brandan goes to the dentist.
Hey.
you ready to come on back?
Yes, I am.
All right, follow me.
Apparently the reason for this constant video calling is that both of them have been cheated on by other partners. So instead of working on the trust issues, they have just resulted to staying on the phone 24/7.
Is it okay if I put the phone up somewhere where my significant other can see me?
Of course.
It would be so weird to have someone on a video call during a teeth cleaning. But even that doesn't stop Mary from getting angry when Brandan interacts with any woman. And this woman just asks Brandan one condescending question.
Is this your first love?
No, it's not.
I'm not completely sure if she intentionally asked it that way, but it starts a big fight. This is so weird. Just hang up and get your teeth cleaned.
I find a way to make her overthink, and I feel terrible for it, honestly.
So we have now seen Brandan's side of this toxic relationship. And before we dive into any assumptions about Mary, it's only fair to hear her side before we do.
I'm Mary, and I live in Candanese, Philippines, and I am 23.
When Mary was a baby, her parents abandoned her and her brother, and she grew up living with her grandparents.
I still have that feeling that anybody that I will love will leave me.
Both of these people have some serious abandonment issues, which does explain their intense obsessiveness with each other.
It was really my idea to be on the phone all the time, 24/7, because I love Brandan so much and I don't want to lose him.
So it was her idea to constantly be on the phone. But I started to get a little bit confused by this, because he can't even go to the dentist without her on the phone.
I sometimes unplug the router when I go out, and then I tell him that we have power outages here.
Yet she finds ways to disconnect and hang out with her friends, and he doesn't question it? This makes it look like she is the one that is more jealous, right? He can't poop alone, but she can just pretend to have an outage. He also can't even talk to a dental assistant, yet she is fine with lying about hanging out with her 3 guy friends whenever. That makes me think that she has to be the one that is more jealous. But then she says this.
He wants me to stop dance, so I stopped dancing. And then I lost my scholarship because of that. So that's why I leave college.
I don't think I can find a meme that facepalms aggressively enough for what she just said. Even this group facepalm isn't enough. She lost her scholarship and dropped out of college over this jealousy, all because she thinks this guy looks like Harry Potter and Justin Bieber.
I feel like I need to give up all of that because if I didn't, I will lose Brandan.
Oh my god. Ugh, no. So what are they going to do in the Philippines now? She's not in school, and he probably will have a hard time finding work since he doesn't speak the language. What kind of future are they planning to have? Why did she just ruin her life for this guy? The more I hear about these two, the more they are reminding me of a throwback couple. Can you guess who I'm talking about? It is in the title of the video. That's right, Paul and Karine. If you've been watching 90 Day Fiancé since the beginning of the franchise, you probably remember Paul and Karine. We first met this couple on Before the 90 Days. They were on the very first season of the spinoff. And like we will with Brandan, we watched Paul travel across the world to meet his online love Karine for the first time. Paul almost immediately came off as an oddball, like when he brought a lock of his mom's hair when he left for the airport.
It means a lot. That's actually something, it's her hair. Very sweet of her to do something like that for me.
We haven't gotten to know Brandan well yet, and he does seem like a nice guy, but it took Paul arriving in Brazil to fully see how odd he really was. Everyone watching, and Karine, also started to see how neurotic Paul could be.
All right. No, can you go back up?
He had some pretty unforgettable moments throughout their first season.
Better to look like an idiot and be protected than,
Are you gonna wear this every day?
Some moments I will include in this video, but I recommend watching their first season if you haven't. The rest of their seasons get more sad and toxic, but in general, their first season is pretty entertaining.
I've heard about that fish that smells urine, it swims up the urethra.
No.
You watch this couple that has a massive language barrier try to get to know each other, and neurotic Paul has a secret, all while saying that he doesn't trust Karine. The lack of trust takes a toll on their relationship.
Me deixa triste porque ele não confia em mim, mas é importante a gente levar a relação para outro nível e ficarmos mais íntimos.
And Paul made Karine take STD and pregnancy tests to prove that he could trust her. Her tests ended up all coming back negative, so he decided it was time to come clean about his own big secret. And the world witnessed one of the most insane moments in 90 Day history. First, Paul comes clean about his criminal record.
I was accused of burning my own house, burning my own personal property. And then a few years ago, I was in a very terrible relationship. She took out a emergency protective order on me.
But before Karine has a chance to react, Paul runs away into the woods.
Essa é uma área perigosa. Paul!
And when Karine chases him down, it seems like he is having a panic attack. He doesn't come back with her though, he just stays in the woods. It's so strange. So she walks back alone with the camera crew following her. And on the way back, she gets mugged by a guy with a freaking machete. She has no phone, and Paul is nowhere to be found. The camera crew actually has to go looking for him. And when they do find him, they tell him Karine has taken her stuff and left him.
I shouldn't let her walk off. They thought easy target. They went out with the machete.
This was such a crazy moment. I really thought she was done with him after that. But Paul apologizes and they make up. With how deranged Paul acted running away, I hoped that they would at least slow down and not get engaged. But instead, the exact opposite happens and they get engaged right after he apologizes.
Yes!
On season 2 of Before the 90 Days, Paul temporarily goes back to the US to save up money. Brandan hadn't mentioned doing anything like that. The plan was for Paul to return to Brazil and for him and Karine to get married there. But when he got to Brazil to marry Karine, their relationship becomes more toxic than ever.
Ele, me proibiu de falar com muita gente. Porque ele não confia em mim.
There were constant allegations of cheating and zero trust between them.
Eu acho que o Paul sofreu muito nos relacionamentos anteriores. É por isso que ele não confia em mim.
Eu acho que eles têm que resolver muitos problemas antes de casarem.
But for whatever reason, they decided to go through with the wedding. Immediately after, though, they were already talking about divorce.
Eu decidi que eu quero divórcio. Eu não consigo ficar casada com ele se minha família não aceitar um casamento.
These two brought out the absolute worst in each other, and it all started with lying, jealousy, and distrust. Now with Brandan and Mary, they aren't starting off much better than Paul and Karine. These two already seem to bring out the worst in each other, and they haven't even met in person. But the real question is, who is the Paul in this scenario? I'm almost thinking that it's Mary, because Brandan, like Karine, already has his family not approving of Mary.
Absolutely no respect for her.
The reasons for disliking her are valid ones. I mean, Brandan is super glued to his phone. And we found out earlier that Mary has a few tricks she uses to go see her guy friends without Brandan knowing. But Brandan isn't even allowed to hang out with his family.
My mother lives with female roommates, and Mary doesn't want me over there with any of them.
And Mary is just over here listening to this? It's so weird. I was wondering if Mary didn't want Brandan around his mom for other reasons. She is only 1 year sober, so I'm sure that he's dealt with many bad years with her drug use. I do agree, though, with how they are saying that Brandan and Mary's relationship is toxic.
You can't spend time with your siblings because she's a female and she has friends possibly that might come over.
And his sister is saying that Mary doesn't want him around her either. So this could be a part of the weird jealousy thing, but I think him avoiding his family goes way deeper than Mary just being jealous.
Mary's very upset and crying over what you guys are saying.
What we're saying is not invalid.
His mom says she's trying to rebuild her life after getting sober, but Brandan is grown up and is going to do what he wants.
I'll be damned if I watch my son ruin his life over this obsession that he has with a girl he's never met.
And even though his mom isn't supportive, his godparents seem to be a bit more understanding. They even picked a fishing spot with cell service so he could keep the video call going.
It might not be as good of fishing there, but we tried to pick somewhere that had a little bit of service.
And Mary is sleeping, so that was nice of them. Man, this is just so ridiculous. She's asleep.
The last time I tried to go fishing, Mary thought that I was cheating on her with someone else.
I cannot even imagine what chaos is going to start when he gets to the Philippines. Although his godparents are more supportive, they still have concerns and are worried.
Doesn't go out and do barely anything anymore because he has to have that constant connection with Wi-Fi. And that kind of sucks a little bit.
As they are saying this, I was wondering how either Brandan or Mary have been able to make any money while constantly being on the phone. Apparently, Brandan has made around $60,000 since they've been together, though. But he used that money to help Mary build a house in the Philippines for them. And we haven't seen him work on this show. So how are they going to survive when he gets there?
I got $250 in my bank account, so good luck to me.
Paul would go back and forth to save money to bring to Brazil. It seems like these two don't have a plan at all.
I'm just kind of rolling with the punches and hoping that it works out.
Although I think that Brandan is making dumb decisions, I'm glad that his godparents just seem to be there for him. It's nice, and they are at least realistic.
He's a good kid, you know?
He'll have a lot of growing up that'll happen when he gets to the Philippines,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Because ready or not, Brandan is moving to the Philippines, and he has no idea what he is in for.
I'm excited, but I'm really nervous and scared.
Even though his mom has vocalized that she is not supportive, she does come to the airport to say goodbye. And no one wants him to go, but I can't tell if his mom is just playing this up for the cameras or not. I hope not.
Glad that she's here to show support because that's something I really needed from my mother.
Brandan does have a nice send-off from the airport, but things with Mary take a turn on his first flight. Apparently not being able to video call on a flight was too much for Mary, and she freaks out when she finds out that Brandan was sitting by a girl.
Like, I can't control that.
They don't show Mary, who is not on a plane, filmed being upset in that moment, so I really hope that this is fake.
I was sitting next to a girl, and Mary was overthinking, so I got switched to an empty seat.
Maybe she's just freaking out because he's on his way and there's no turning back now. That would make more sense. He is literally buckled in on the plane headed to the Philippines and she changed her mind? Is this her version of running away like Paul? Paul ran so Mary could bail mid-flight? Good lord! If their relationship is really this bad, I'm starting to get scared. This is next level.
Big Ed the Fly wants to remind you to subscribe to this channel.
You're my best view.
On the preview for the next episode, Mary does say that she is mad that he was sitting next to a girl.
He said he won't be sitting with girls, so I have the reason to get mad.
This is the one time that I'm actually hoping that this was played up for the show. This relationship is not going to end well if it's not. On another note, I guess this is possibly a spoiler. If you don't want to hear it, just skip ahead to the timestamp above. I randomly saw this tabloid saying that Brandan and Mary are still together, and that they are married and expecting a baby. I have no way of confirming that it's true, but the fact that these two remind me of Paul and Karine wouldn't make this too surprising. I really hope that Brandan and Mary don't go the full route of Paul and Karine though, because their story gets sad and really hard to watch. Right after they got married and Karine said she wanted a divorce, Karine found out that she was pregnant. This made them try to work things out, but sadly Karine miscarried. The miscarriage did end up bringing them closer together, and when Paul returned to the US again to make more money, Karine found out that she was again pregnant. But that didn't stop the toxic cycle of distrust that they had.
You need to do a DNA test.
Paul, come on now. Karine!
Sério que você tá fazendo isso?
I always wondered if Karine didn't get pregnant, if they would have split up for good. Karine's family ended up hating Paul and didn't like how he treated her. It was a never-ending back and forth between Karine wanting a divorce and them getting back together. And when their son was born, they moved to the US to try to make more money. But nothing was better. If anything, it was worse.
América não está sendo o que o Paul me prometeu.
Look, how can I say sujo? Sujo, sujo, sujo.
In a wooden hut.
What the f***?
Karine got homesick, and eventually she accused Paul of domestic violence and abuse. They even got restraining orders against each other. But once again, they got back together and even announced that they were having a second baby. But things got really bizarre when they also announced that they were broadcasting them having sex on OnlyFans. I'm guessing this had something to do with needing money, because I don't know why else they would want to do that, or think that anyone would want to watch them do that. The sad part of their story is how it ended. Paul and Karine ended up losing custody of their kids. And the situation was so bad that Paul's cousins wanted their parental rights taken away. The last that we heard, in April of 2023, Paul and Karine are together, and they are supposedly trying to get their kids back. But overall, their relationship was toxic from the beginning, and it led to a very unhappy ending. It makes you wonder how these two will fare when they are starting off so badly. The fact that Mary lost a scholarship and quit school over Brandan's jealousy was a huge red flag. And Brandan not being able to save money or hold down a job made me think that this will be a huge disaster. So what do you think of this couple? Will they be able to survive in the Philippines with no money and no plan? Will they continue a toxic cycle over and over like Paul and Karine? Or do they actually have a chance of having a happy ending? I want to know what you think, because I think we are witnessing the beginning of a couple we will see on multiple seasons. I mean, how else will they pay the bills? Let's just hope that one of them doesn't get jealous of the camera crew. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye!